The next two videos concern two conversions, Shatov's and Stepan Tropinovich's. Each of them convert, and for different reasons, with the different significance. This video will concern Shatov. When we last saw Shatov at length, he was talking with Stravogin. Previously, Shatov had held forth, claiming that old liberals had not loved Russia nor known its people. Shatov wants to learn about the Russian people. Remember that the very reason Stravogin came to visit Shatov was to warn Shatov that Pyotr was probably planning to murder him. Shatov, he believed in the nation, and the nation was the first primordial experience all human beings have with right and wrong. Science and socialism, according to Shatov, corrode that primordial experience. They point to a continual revolution emanating from the human will. Shatov shows up two other times in part 2. Pyotr insists that Shatov come to the meeting where the Revolutionary Society, when he comes to visit in part 2, chapter 6, section 6. And Shatov indeed shows up in the next chapter, the humorous meeting in the chapter entitled With Our People. He never talks at the meeting. Pyotr puts a question to the group after they have decided to go full steam across the swamp of Russia. He asks if anyone would inform the proper authorities if they knew a political murder was going to happen. People at the meeting say no. But before he could answer, Shatov gets up and walks out. And then Stravogin gets up and walks out. And so does Kirillov. Pyotr had asked this question precisely to rally the revolutionary cell against Shatov. And this rallying check comes due in part 3. After the literary celebration and after the ball and after the town is burned down and even after Lisa is killed, then comes the drama of Shatov. Dostoevsky tells the story in a most pathos-filled way. First, we have Shatov's conversion, which is noticed and admired by the members of the revolutionary cell. Then we have his murder, which is the final way in which the intellectuals end up submitting to Pyotr and his revolutionary action. These stories are happening simultaneously in the narrative, but I am going to treat them separately to make what is going on as clear as I can. First, the conversion. We do not see Shatov at the governor's house. We do not see him at the literary celebration. He is not seen when the city is ablaze. We first see Shatov in part 3 only in chapter 5, called A Traveler. The traveler is Shatov's estranged wife, Marya. She has come back to him, and we learn that she is great with child. It must be someone else's child, and all the rumors point to Stravogin as the father. Marya admits as much to Shatov. Shatov does everything to make sure that she can deliver the child. He pounds on the window in the middle of the night in order to get a midwife. He pawns his gun to get money to pay for her. Strangely, but importantly, he confesses his guilt before the people of Russia and before his estranged wife. I am guilty before them. We're all guilty. We're all guilty, and if only we were all convinced of it. She labors. The baby is born. Shatov is euphoric. He shouts to the midwife, "The mystery of the appearance of a new being, a great mystery and an inexplicable one. What a pity you don't understand it." He is going to adopt the child and raise him as his own. He is going to live a new life with Marya, he says, with whom he now hopes to start living anew and forever. And Shatov talks to her of the existence of God and of everyone being good. He says they are going to put an end to the old delirium, disgrace, and carrion. Previously, Shatov had said that he believed in the country, but did not believe in God. Now he believes in both. What made the difference? Shatov learns about God's existence through the experience of active love. It is his self-forgetting, humbling in the face of public opinion that leads him to adopt the child of his one-time wife that she had conceived out of wedlock. Active love helps him to embrace his wife. It helps him to embrace her child and to see her child as his own. He forgives her and he blames only himself for this circumstance. Only after Shatov experiences active love can he recognize God's grace. The birth of the child is indeed mysterious and inexplicable. It is a source of wonder. It is in reaction to that wonder that he finds faith. His moral disposition leads him to God. If I were a well-educated man, I would compare what Shatov does here to that which Karenin does in Anna Karenina. Karenin, after all, agrees to raise the child of Anna and Vronsky, her lover, as his own. And he feels an unbelievable experience of forgiveness and nobility as he does that. That feeling leads him to spiritual things, though those spiritual things are quickly corrupted. We do not know if Shatov's faith is corrupted because immediately after announcing it, members of the revolutionary cell show up at his house and tell him it is time to go. He would be dead in an hour. Now the assassination. Pyotr acknowledges that the revolutionary group has been successful in promoting discontent among the population and has encouraged the fall of local administration, and they have set the town on fire. That's all good. But now there is an informer in their midst, he says, and the informer is Shatov. Now you've unbound him with this fire. He's shaken and no longer hesitant. By tomorrow we'll be arrested as incendiaries and political criminals. The group is ready to kill Shatov, and Pyotr has a plan. They're going to lure Shatov to the place where he has buried the cell's printing press, murder him, and then call on Kirillov to write a confession to the murder before Kirillov himself commits his long-awaited suicide. The problem is that many members of his cell have long been friends with Shatov. Liputin, Virginsky, Lyashin, they have all been members with Shatov in Stepan Tropinovich's conversation group. All have seen Shatov's dedication to his wife during the night of her labor, and none believes he will be a threat. Virginsky especially had run around to all concerned to tell them that Shatov was certainly not going to denounce them because his wife had come back to him and a child had been born, and knowing the human heart, it was impossible to think he was dangerous at that moment. Liputin had seen Pyotr's cynicism, the way he treats human beings as cattle. And when they went to get Kirillov on board, Shigilov begins to doubt whether there are revolutionary cells around Russia and demands of Pyotr an explanation. And he begins to doubt whether the murder of Shatov is necessary for his Shigilovism system. He will not commit the deed, he says. None think it is the right to do. Only the fanatical Ensign Urkel, actually, is devoted to the idea of killing Shatov. Yet all still participate in it, or they are implicated in it. Why? Several reasons. Pyotr calls down the authority of the international movement to rebut the claims that there is no international movement. Pyotr answers, "You are merely one knot in an infinite network of knots, and you owe blind obedience to the center." He blames the 5 members of his revolutionary cell for self-will instead of submission. When he accuses Shatov and they balk, he answers, "I have no right to declare my ways to you or how I discovered it. It is all in the name of the security of the party, and he must protect his assets." Here is how the narrator describes the mood of Pyotr's underlings. That Shatov would denounce them, our people all believed, but that Pyotr Stepanovich was playing with them like pawns, they likewise believed. And what's more, they all knew that they would still come in complement to the spot the next day, and that Shatov's fate was sealed. They felt they had suddenly been caught like flies in the web of a huge spider. They were angry, but quaking with fear. This is an amazing statement. The fellow travelers were indeed hostages. They had joined, and leaving would mean cutting themselves off. They knew what spiders at the top would do to them. Best to toe the line and denounce those as enemies of the people. Back the strong horse, even if the strong horse is a totalitarian and a murderer. Pyotr appealed to crude fear and threatened their skins. These same motivations explain a lot, though some more effectively couch it in terms of civic pride. As they come to sympathize with Shatov's position and see him as no threat, they still meet to kill him, though under protest. The most crucial, as Pyotr sharpens the knife to kill Shatov, is the threat that their organization knows where they live and will come and kill them if they don't participate. So the men kill Shatov, knowing him to be innocent and no threat, lest they too become victims. Again, such cravenness is probably found in the real world outside of novels. So the newly minted Christian and the lover of the nation is killed by craven intellectuals who submit to a determined revolutionary. The vendetta against Shatov was partly personal. Shatov had slighted Pyotr abroad. But notice that this personal vendetta is pursued outside the major action of burning the town down and murdering inconvenient people. Vendettas can be pursued in the lawless environs of a revolution. Next, we talk about Stepan Tropinovich.